So we need to correct it now. Otherwise, you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life starting very soon.
Hey everybody, this is Victor from Cyborg for Life, and today I have a very special interview for you. Today we are going to be talking about leg length discrepancy, and essentially this is when one leg is noticeably shorter than the other, and it can be caused from a variety of things. Some people are born with it, which is called a congenital leg length discrepancy. Others develop it from traumatic injuries from like an accident or some sort of physical impact. And there are also medical conditions that affect bone growth in one side. And that can all lead to a developmental leg length discrepancy that can affect, somebody throughout their life. It could be asymptomatic, meaning like you don't notice it. There's several people in the world that live with a discrepancy every day and they don't have any problems. And then there are people where it is symptomatic and they do have pain, back pain, hip pain, strain in their knees or even their ankles, and just affects their posture and their gait with, scoliosis and whatnot. So today we're going to be talking to some limb length discrepancy patients about their experience throughout their life. What was it like living with a discrepancy? What were the challenges you faced? First up on the show, we have Sam. Sam, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Take us back. Tell us your early discovery. What was it like to find out that you had a discrepancy?
My discrepancy is from a congenital birth defect. Still have a curved tibia and fibula. And so when I was born, they brought in a bone specialist. His idea was, hey, we need to straighten this out. We're going to put a cast on his leg and his foot, and we're just going to keep it on for 2 weeks, take it off for a week, put it on for 2 weeks, keep it off for a week, and basically do that for a year and hope that straightens it out as it grows in the first year of his life. Well, it didn't help, but one of the things that it did do was um, it stunted the growth in my shin, which was already going to have issues because it wasn't growing straight up and down. It was growing curved. So I knew early on that I was going to have a discrepancy. As a kid, I had to go to the doctor every 6 months to get x-rays to measure the discrepancy. So I remember vividly laying on the x-ray table with a yardstick taped down. And so they'd try and put my feet at the same inch marker to see how tilted my hips were, to see how curved my spine was and the slope of my shoulders. So growing up, I knew that I had it, and I knew that it was getting worse. By the time I was a freshman in high school, it was about 2.5 inches. So at that point, there was an intervention needed. And so I was really given two options. The very, very early years of leg lengthening in the US. And so it was just the Ilizarov procedure, cage around the leg, and the surgeon who would have been doing it, who was advising us, said, I've done this surgery once before. I'd like to do it a second time. And I was, 14 years old. My mom was there and she was like, I don't think so. I don't think I want my son to be test subject number 2 for you doing this procedure. So the other option that they gave us is a pretty common one, and that's removing the growth plate in the long leg so that the shorter leg can catch up. So I had that surgery. It removed the growth plate in the top of my right shin so that my left leg could catch up. And we kind of figured, yeah, that fixed it. And so I went on, I played high school soccer, I played college soccer, I played semi-pro after college. I traveled the world playing soccer. When I stopped doing it semi-competitively, I joined Sunday league team. I played basically until I was almost 40 years old without a stop. When I stopped, I tried to pick it up again like a year or so later. My body just couldn't handle trying to get back into playing shape. I ended up going to physical therapy, and the physical therapist said, hey, you have a discrepancy. I was like, well, yeah, I had one. We had surgery. Like, this is my whole story. I know it all. And I go, yeah, it's just a little bit now. And she goes, no, it's like, and she did a hand measurement. She goes, it's about 3 centimeters.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, that's a lot more than I thought it would be. Like, I thought we fixed it so that I knew I was a little off, but I figured I was pretty much even because I didn't have like recurring problems. I would have pain, I'd have difficulty with some stuff, but I just figured, you know, 35 years of playing soccer, that's, wear and tear on the body.
Hmm.
So I reached out to my doctor and said, hey, what are my options now? And so he referred me to actually a pediatric orthopedic surgeon because they like to correct those kind of things in kids. But he had done the procedure multiple times. And so we talked with him. We did x-rays, both, standing and then with a block under it to try and figure out what my actual discrepancy was. And we figured it between 2 and 3 centimeters. And we basically decided we're going to do the surgery and we'll do it nice and slow, and we'll keep taking x-rays as we're going until we finally get pretty close to even, and then we'll stop. That was November of 2023. Yeah, when I had that surgery, lengthened through January, and ended up being 2.4 centimeters, 24 millimeters. And then, then the recovery started, and it was both slow and quick because I had never really broken a bone before. Like the recovery time, how it would feel. So it both felt agonizingly slow, and at the same time when I would look back, I'd be like, oh damn, like this is the whole bone is healing, and yet I can still do that. I can start walking even though I look at the x-ray and the doctor says, yeah, you're good to start walking. And I go, are you sure? Like it looks like there's a lot of bone missing on this x-ray. He said, hey, you're good to go. You can do what feels comfortable. Just don't push it to the point where there's pain. When there's pain, back off. And his remark was around stress fractures.
Mm.
Basically, the bone is still healing or was still healing at that point. And he's like, if you push it and it's painful and you get a stress fracture, what we're going to do to try and heal those is have you stay off it. So why push yourself now and possibly have this setback? Take it easy. And so I set goals for myself further out. Like last October, I wanted to do a 5K, and I did it. I finished it. I walked it. Didn't feel the need to run it, but I walked it with a friend of mine, and we finished the 5K. This fall, I'm trying to be ready for a soccer tournament in September. I feel good about it right now. I feel like, I'm starting to get some quickness back. I'm really I'm at the point where pushing for stamina is where I'm at, really starting to push that cardio and do like longer runs, longer jogs. I'm able to do short sprints. I can do agility stuff, but I do like my heart rate shoots up quick. I get out of breath quick. So it's really for me now taking that longer stamina cardio to try and get ready for the fall.
The fact that you had a congenital discrepancy and, being told as a teen, this is something that is probably going to need some correction. What did the doctors say that there was going to be any risks about having a discrepancy that might affect your life later on down the line?
Yeah, it was, look, you're going to start to have issues within the next couple years. Like this is not something where you're going to be fine as you're a teenager and as you get older you're going to feel it. No, you're going to start to feel it, in the next year or two. You're going to start to feel that hip pain, you're going to start to feel back pain. So we need to correct it now. Otherwise, you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life starting very soon.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was very eye-opening because up to that point, I mean, I was a normal kid. I played a bunch of sports. I did all this stuff, and like I loved to run, and it was never like I never felt bad about it. Like I never felt like I couldn't do it. So to have somebody say, "Hey, if we don't do something now in a couple of years, you won't be able to do any of this stuff that you've been doing." That was eye-opening. It was a little scary, and it was really that was the push to okay, let's take care of this now.
Athletically, you were a soccer player. So, how did your leg feel when you were competing in soccer, both in college? What were the noticeable limitations?
I was very athletic on like one side of my body. Like if I was jumping off my right leg, I could jump almost as high as anybody on the team. Like I was, top two or three in terms of jumping. if I tried to jump just off my left leg, I had a vertical of maybe 4 inches. Like
Whoa.
I could not get up off my left leg. And it's because of that biomechanical change. My left leg, the muscle chain that normally happens when you push off, when you jump, when you run, when you're in the gym and you're doing bilateral exercises, it never grew and it never strengthened
Yeah.
in my left leg.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could see, and in college, this was true after college, definitely because I had less of a prescribed exercise plan. But I looked like, if you just looked at my legs, you wouldn't know they were from the same person.
Whoa.
Like my left leg was so much leaner and thinner than my right leg. And that was true. Even up to now, you can still see there's still a slight difference, but it's much less than it used to be. It used to be like my calf looked like my left calf looked like a long distance runner calf, and my right calf looked more like a sprinter calf.
Wow.
Like just it was, and the muscle definition wasn't there. This was all because of the way my hips were tilted and the way that I had to change the way I ran without realizing it. Like this was nothing conscious. This was unconscious of this is the way my body runs. I need to be able to figure it out.
The discrepancy side, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then the side. Look at the muscle tone on this versus
Yep.
like, oh my gosh.
Um, my body adapted to it, and like it's not just like the calf, the quad, the hamstring. Like
Mhm.
my glute, when I started physical therapy before I realized there was still a discrepancy, my physical therapist had me doing basically glute activation exercises to try and retrain that leg on this is the way muscles should work. Because for so long, they hadn't because of the discrepancy. And I didn't realize it. And so it's still something I'm working on as I recover and I do, unilateral exercises just on that leg um, to strengthen. I mean, I remember vividly prior to the surgery, I would try and do like a single leg squat and my leg would start to shake, like because it couldn't handle it. So yeah, my biomechanics were all screwed up and I had no idea until I started exploring what was wrong and figuring it out.
I am empathetic with your story. This is not just physical, but it's for an athlete, it can become emotional too. It's like realizing that this discrepancy, it's here and it's limiting me from being my best. So it's like being held back, being handicapped for your sport.
It was disappointing when I first figured it out and realized what it was that was happening and looking back on my career and thinking, what if I hadn't had this discrepancy? I played D3, like played in a national championship game and all that, but I'm like, what if, like, would I have been able to go D1? Would I have been able to go pro instead of
Yeah.
semi-pro? Like, what trajectory would I have been on had I had, for example, if this surgery had been available when I was a teenager, and so I did this surgery um, instead of stopping the growth. So I was I was equal, you know, in high school. What trajectory would that have put me on? Where could I have gotten to? So it was disappointing. At the same time, there was enough of me to say, like, you had a great career and you enjoyed it. Like that was the thing that that was the overriding thing that I was able to point to was I never got tired of playing. And I look at some of the guys I played with or some of the guys I knew who
Mhm.
played even at a higher level and they're completely out of it. They don't even want to play anymore.
It's part of our life and it helps shape and develop us. And I think that you coming to terms with that is super powerful, super impactful. And it's very valuable for other prospective patients to hear because of the fact that some people might be like, what the heck? And they just toss their hands up and say, this thing's holding me back. But to have that resolve and say, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot anyway. And look how far you've come. I mean, you played all the way up to Cement Pro. It's incredible. But
February was when I to start putting some weight on it. And I think early April was when they were like, okay, you can start walking unassisted. At that point, I was like, okay, Like I don't feel like I could do big stuff, but just having that freedom was really a big step forward in the recovery
Mhm.
process. And then had the rod removed just under a year later, and I was walking out of the hospital the night that they removed the rod. Like I did not expect that. I decided to start doing some agility, some speed ladder stuff, and I felt good doing it. So I'm like, okay, maybe the short motion stuff is where it's at. So then I started doing stuff like this, which is short range, 5 yard side shuffle, sprints, back pedal, and I feel good doing that. And my tibia and fibula, they feel kind of sore at the end of it,
Mhm.
but it goes away quickly. It is just that, a soreness. And so I decided that was going to be my path moving forward, is I'm going to focus on kind of the quick twitch muscles
Mhm.
to start with. That's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on sprints. I'm going to work on stops. I'm going to work on moving side to side. I'm going to work on going backwards. That was my recovery plan, or that is my recovery plan now, to really work on those short area bursts. I mean, this is the best part of my recovery, is that I'm now able to do this with my son. I let him beat me at the end, and then he turns around and he goes, "The reason I beat you is because I had a head start." I was
Right.
like, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay." I wasn't able to do this before the surgery. Like I wasn't able to play around with him, to run with him, to get out there and enjoy being outside with him. Like I had to sit down. I couldn't, like, even walks. I couldn't walk very far. This part of the recovery, being able to go out and do this with him is the most fun part of the recovery for me. Yes, I could go out there and I can run and I can, get in better shape and all that kind of stuff. But this is the reason that I'm doing it. I had this surgery so that I could do this with him, so that when he wants to play sports, I can play with him instead of just talking to him about it.
That's incredible, man. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Being able to spend time with our loved ones and do it in the most enjoyable fashion, not have something holding you back, whether it's a sport or, like you said, just running outside and playing with your son. That's incredible, Sam. I mean, we have Tyler on the show, who is a prospective patient, and he does have a leg length discrepancy. And so, Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, sir. What's going on, fellas?
So, Tyler, man, I think your story with the discrepancy was pretty incredible because you are an athlete as well. We're all athletes. You're a basketball
Yes,
player.
sir.
Take us back, man. Tell us about like your life story growing up with this discrepancy, and when did you notice it? How did it affect you?
It's great to be here. I noticed my limb length discrepancy when I was 14. I was It was about ninth grade for me. I was going to basketball tryouts, and we were doing side shuffles just up and down the court, and my foot kind of got stuck on the ground. Don't know what happened. I'm sure I was just clumsy because, to give context in terms of, I know we all talk about height and limb lengthening and stuff. I definitely do not need a lengthen by any means. I'm 7'1", so I'm all good on the height side of things. But what happened is, like I was saying, in that practice, was doing the side shuffles and my leg just kind of caught. And what ended up happening is I got a stress fracture under my growth plate on my left tibia. X-rays and everything, they said I was going to be fine. Everything will heal properly. But being an athlete, even if I may have been clumsy at that time, I was still very aware of my body. And I could tell once the stress fracture healed that I just felt off all the time. So I ended up going the orthotics route. I think I got those by 2000, and that'd have been about like 2009. And then started just to pretty much dive deeper into basketball my junior and senior year of high school. Um, when doing so, though, I was still playing with that discrepancy difference, right? So I had an orthotic. There was a bit of a lift in there. Did it help? I think it depends on what you would call help. Because in my whole college career, from in terms of basketball, from 2010 to 2014, I was injury prone all the time. I had back issues, ankle issues, hip issues, breathing issues, actually. So I was getting a bunch of heart and lung tests because they couldn't understand. I couldn't go up and down the court without being completely out of breath. But everything checked out, lungs, heart, everything was absolutely amazing. And I just continued to keep playing on painkillers and muscle relaxers. And that was how I was able to keep playing through college. And then I went on to play professional basketball as well. But unfortunately, this the leg length discrepancy for sure shortened up my career. So I was only able to play for a little over the year, and then that's where everything just kind of crumbled. I would love to have a day where my hips actually feel even like that, and I can move quick because I probably move pretty slow now.
You said that you noticed that your foot started to get stronger because it had to kind of compensate for the discrepancy on the shorter side, right?
So 2014 was when I'm graduating college, going to play pro. I played for 2 years, so now we're in 2016. Was in the health and fitness from 2016 until 2020. Where they started to feel stronger was because I took out the orthotics and now I wear barefoot shoes. So essentially zero drop, right? They allow your foot intrinsics to actually move and splay how they're supposed to.
Tyler's so interesting because the fact it shows you that even a small discrepancy can have such a large impact on your life. Sam had a little bit larger and I even had a little larger, but it just shows you that regardless of the actual difference between the legs, it can have a massive impact in what I call the kinetic chain of pain, right? It's like your whole posterior chain, everything in your whole system from your spine all the way down to your feet and your ankles is connected, right? What does that kind of look like for you as a prospective patient going forward?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. So yeah, I mean, as far as like when it comes to orthotics, I mean, like, we spoke about, they only help so much. At the end of the day, it's like even if, okay, you have X amount on your discrepancy, when it comes to yeah, being an athlete, I mean, and even to the point and extent, right, of like where we see Sam is doing, footwork drills and stuff, like what is little man, it's just like you do need to be balanced to do that at a high level and to do it well and to be able to cut and stop on a dime. It's like those levels at that point, it's like the discrepancy for myself, it still did affect me. I was always a step or two slow, right? I mean, and on top of that, the amount of sheer force going into the joint as somebody who was playing at, 7'1", 300 pounds. It's a lot of body weight too, a lot of ground and pound in there. So as far as orthotics go, I don't plan to ever go back to those. As far as like the actual lengthening surgery itself, it's what I'm looking into, as far as like next steps go and consulting some different people in the space. I just want to take the right steps. I got to get the x-rays done and such and do my proper execution of things on my side. But to me, orthotics only help to a certain capacity, and I think it more so just kind of masks it, right? It doesn't really, it's not going to, correct it at the root, which I think we all know, and that's why anyone who listens to the podcast or anyone who is here, right, we know it's your actual bone, right? It's your bone tissue is what it comes down to, at the end of the day. So yeah, surgery is looking like a possible next step for me. I need to continue to go through like the next steps. Breaking a bone is a serious thing. I've done it. It's why I got a short leg, right? But yeah, I'm excited to see what can come from it and see people like yourself. Honestly, Sam, your video, and there was another gentleman, I can't remember his name, but seeing, people like yourself, real actual humans who have gone through it, who have had success, and who are able to, I mean, you're out here cutting, man. I'm like, geez, like that's incredible to be out here and be athletic and just to be able to do it for your family is like, that's incredible. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for myself too.
See, Sam has had a fantastic recovery. He's living his best life now, and it's incredible to see that. But I want to kind of like talk to both you guys as we wrap up here and just talk about if somebody is listening to the show and they have a leg length discrepancy, whether it's congenital, traumatic, or some other condition that caused it, what would you tell them in advocating for, possibly finding a solution, whether it be, hey, try out a shoe lift for a little while, see if you can manage with your level of activity during the day, or maybe is leg lengthening a solution? So Sam, I'm going to go to you first. Like if somebody found out, they know they have a discrepancy, they're not really sure how much, or like what type of steps would you give them to take?
My first advice is examine your lifestyle. Like one of the things, because I was in the same boat of what about orthotics? What about just physical therapy? Like what kind of things could I do short of surgery? And for me, at the time, I can't fit an orthotic lift into a cleat. Like that's that's not gonna work. I love walking around in flip-flops, bare feet. Like I'm rarely wearing shoes unless I'm at work. So, trying to have a lift is I'd have a lift, 15, 20% of the time. That doesn't help. But if you're someone who wears shoes like all the time, you're going out, you're walking all the time. So examine the lifestyle and see if there are solutions that fit into your lifestyle. That's my advice to anybody who's thinking about leg lengthening for a discrepancy is look at your lifestyle and see if things short of surgery fit into your lifestyle to be able to help you. Otherwise, surgery and recovery is a long period of time and it will take a couple years. And if you're active and if you have something to come back to, that makes it a lot easier to focus on. So if you have, hey, I want to play basketball again, or if I have a soccer tournament I want to do, or I want to run a race, or I want to get back into bodybuilding, if there's something that you're doing it for, that makes it a much easier decision than, hey, you know, I just don't feel great all the time, then I'd say look at other things you can do first. There were times in college and post-college where I would be curled up in the fetal position, like on the floor or on the couch or something, just because my lower back hurts so much that
Man,
I just had to, like, it didn't, lying there like that didn't help. Like, it didn't alleviate the pain, but like that was the position I find myself in. So really think about what you're trying to accomplish with the leg lengthening surgery. What problem are you trying to solve, and how does it fit into your lifestyle, and what solution is best for that?
That's fantastic advice. You're just saying like, look at your lifestyle. Does it make sense or not? And I think that, hearing Sam's advice, Tyler, now as a prospective patient, does that kind of inspire your, motivation to continue to research this procedure?
hearing, what Sam's gone through, and I said his story, just seeing that you like be able to move, man. And like I said, I don't have kids, but to be able to see you doing that and being out there and being active like with your son, man, it just it shows me what's possible in terms of what really matters most, right? Which is like being able to get up and play with your kids, like to be able to do things with your family. What's got me so open to making this decision is I've seen a slow degradation of the amount of activity that I can do for my exercise. I think for myself in that way that if there's a permanent solution to this, then to explore those options, right, and see what that can turn into. I'm definitely not someone who looks to rush into surgery, right? I mean, obviously, I got this 18 years ago, and I haven't gotten surgery. Now I didn't find out about it until about 2 years prior to now, but even still, right? I didn't rush in and be like, hey, like let me get somebody to cut me open. I've had a lot of injuries, as an athlete. I've had sprained ankles and back problems and all the stuff I'm telling you guys about now, but I was just playing basketball too. So to me, to have to do therapy for months on end or what may have you, like Sam said, yeah, it's boring as hell. But on the same note, I know that if it can get me back to being pro athlete would be amazing. But if it can get me back to just being athletic, that would be absolutely amazing because I do know how much your mental and your physical health intertwine together to just be able to show up as the best, insert anything, best parent, best businessman, woman, best literally anything. You need to have your mental and physical in check. So if I ever knew there was an opportunity or a way that we could change this permanently, I probably would have, pressed the send button about about 15 years ago. So here we are now. I'm grateful. I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't go through what I did. But yeah, I more than anything, I would say like my physical goals like truly are to be able to hike with my fiance, and I have 3 dogs now, and if I can't do that, I'm struggling. I'm struggling in that way. So it's about the things that really matter that get me excited about taking this opportunity.
I want to thank both of you for coming on and sharing your experiences, sharing your advice to other people at different stages, and whether they are a prospective patient looking into this, finding out about it for the first time. All of that's going to be super helpful for people into the future, and that's why we do what we do. For everybody out there, if you have a leg length discrepancy, if you're suffering from something, if you don't know what it is, go see your primary care physician, maybe get a referral to an orthopedic surgeon. Hopefully they have some experience in limb lengthening and deformity reconstruction. Try to get a consultation with them, get measured via full length standing x-ray with the block method. Okay, that's very important that you mention that to the orthopedic surgeon, because if they don't do that, they could be mismeasuring your discrepancy or your difference. And they also need to kind of determine, is it a functional discrepancy where it's more soft tissue related and kind of tugging on different sides, or anatomical, which is what we're talking about, where the bone structure is actually different. And that's what can impact your joint health, your breathing. You can affect nerves. It can affect all kinds of movement patterns. And it's not something to live with unless you want to. So definitely reach out if you want to. I have a website. You can consult with me. You can reach out to me. I have a Facebook group of like 1,000 members. 80 to 85% of them are discrepancy patients, family members, parents of discrepancy and deformity patients. So, and we have patients here like Sam. If you want to reach out to him, he's usually pretty open to answering emails. Tyler, I'm sure will be happy to answer emails and, just to kind of bounce ideas off of, so that's what this community is all about. So I want to thank you for watching this podcast. Yeah. So until next time, this is Victor from Cyborg for Life. Sam and Tyler, we're signing out. See you guys.